Hi guys, I'm doing a book review on Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, on one of his books. I believe he has 4 out. There are quite a few reviews on YouTube. What I've noticed is they're a few hours long. Even the study books are over an hour, and usually it's like a picture of the book and you don't see the person, and I'm more of a visual person, and I thought, I do a book review that is kind of short and sweet and kind of like my take on it, and also share with you guys a little bit about what I went through in the past couple of years. I know it doesn't look like it when I'm standing here. I obviously did my makeup and all that, but I was, let's just put it to you this way, without sounding really depressing or bringing anybody down in this video. I wanted to exit. I was just this close to leave this planet Earth because I was done. I went through a couple of years ago, I went through some really dramatic things. I lost my mom. I lost a best friend of mine that I was very close with. I met him about 4 or 5 years ago. We became very close, and I was close with his son and his family, and he unfortunately had an accidental overdose, which was something I was never exposed to. It was something completely new for me. So to make a long story short, losing 2 people in my life, losing my job, getting another job, and then losing that job, and then I was in the process of buying a condo, and then that fell through. So I lost money there, and then I had to rehome my 3 pets that I was madly in love with, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna leave. I'm done. I'm gonna rehome my animals so at least they can go to good homes, and I'm gonna downsize, and I'm gonna find ways to leave. And so something happened May of 2019. Basically, my younger brother, I have 2 brothers. I'm really close with the younger one, and I love the older one too. I love my family. The younger one moved in with me because something happened with him and his lady, and I was living in a small apartment, actually in the same place. And he actually asked me if he can stay on the couch for a while, and I was like, of course, you're my brother. I mean, no problem. So he stayed with me for roughly 3.5, 4 weeks. And during that time, I opened up to my brother. I had told him that I had suicide thoughts, and I don't have them anymore. I'm almost coming out of my depression, by the way. But I shared with him, I had to be honest, and I obviously got very emotional about it. And he wasn't emotional at all. My brother is in a very high place of his spirituality in his life. He's had an enlightenment experience, and he's at a very high place. He's opened up all of his energy points, and I believe he's on the crown chakra, and he's working on it. That's not open, but that's what he wants to do. He wants to do a quantum leap basically in his life. So he had a just very intelligent conversation with me. It wasn't like, you're my sister, I don't want you to do this. It wasn't emotional. It was very logical, and he explained to me the life and death and ego, and why we want to leave, and the life challenges living in this dense world, and what for me to even do something like that, I have to reincarnate and complete my karma. And I was like, I don't want to do that. So talking to him, and then that's when he actually moved out of my place. He found his own place. Like I said, he was only here for a few weeks. That's when I actually grabbed the book and start reading it. And once I grabbed the book, I honestly couldn't even put it down. I was so into it. So I wrote some notes just because I'm not going to read off the book, and I hope that's okay with you guys. It's my first video, so please go easy on me. It's not going to be the best. I'm not good at this, but I'm going to certainly do my best. So first of all, in my opinion, the book is a fantastic book. It's called Breaking the Bad Habit of Being Yourself, basically how to lose your mind and create a new one. Like I said, this book has been out for a while, nothing new. I just had to, it took me a while to come around this book and read it. It started a little bit heavy for me personally. I was getting really choked up as I was reading it. But then what I really liked about his book is what I like about his book is that he's mixing science and spirituality. And so there's a lot of great masters on YouTube, great teachers. And then my brother is another one that I learned a few things. But you never hear anybody mixing science, quantum manifestation, the quantum physics, and spirituality. And that's the beauty of Dr. Joe's book in his teachings and seminars, that he's mixing, combining the two. So the part one is he's talking about the science of you, the quantum you. You and the world are made up of energy and matter. If you look at the body, including the brain, at the cellular level, you have tissues, cells, molecules, particles, energy. Your thoughts have an effect on the quantum field. We are in control of our past, present, and future. When we focus on a thought single-mindedly, we make it more real than anything else. We are experiencing the thought beyond the physical realm. We create our future. So literally, a person can make themselves sick with their thinking and their thoughts, or they can heal themselves. And then he has all these amazing examples of people who had all sorts of battling with different diseases and cancers and so forth, and they literally like healed themselves. Like I said, this is short and sweet, but there are a lot of examples in the book. Chapter 2, he's talking about overcoming your environment. So what does that mean? The environment causes us to think. Familiar places, things, people, and circumstances fire a set of circuits which causes the brain to think in certain ways. An external stimulus is causing us to think. If the environment causes us to think, firing the same circuits over and over, the circuits become hardwired and part of our being. And then he always has this famous saying where he's saying, nerve cells that fire together wire together, which is quite true. Chapter 3, he's talking about overcoming your body. This is an area where I was able to relate with. I'm still going through it. I'm not out of the woods yet, and I'm not completely out of my depression yet, but there was time where I was so incredibly attached to my body. Literally, like everything was, I got to do this and I got to do that. I got to go to the gym. I got to lose weight. I got to watch my food. I got to watch my diet, take this pill. And because I was attached to it, I was really attached to my mind and body. And like I said, I'm not 100% out of it, but I'm definitely getting there where now I'm like thinking, if something happens to my body, I understand that the physical world is going to dissipate at some point. It's going to deteriorate. So overcoming your body, every time you have a thought, you make a chemical. If you think the way you feel and feel the way you think over and over, you create a state of being. Positive thoughts alone will not work to change this. The environment pushes genes in our bodies, which causes stress, disease, or happiness or joy. So again, with our thoughts, we can create stress and be in this state of limitation or, limited thinking, or just completely be happy and joyful and not even attach yourself with the money, title, or the body that you have. To change is to pull the mind out of the body and put it back in the brain. To change is to think greater than how you feel. Mental rehearsal also contributes to changing the body physically and mentally. Chapter 4, he's talking about overcoming time. We happen to live in the emotions we have memorized from the past. We need to live in the present moment and focus on new emotions. When we watch a movie, read a book, go on a long drive, etc., we lose track of time. This is so true. To change is to change the emotions we memorize. We need to move from a state of anger or jealousy to a state of thankfulness and gratitude. And this is another thing I also learned with my brother's help. And then there are a couple of people also on YouTube. By the way, there's so many great teachers and masters on YouTube. I'm so grateful. Landria is one of them. I call her my spiritual teacher. She's amazing. I like her original videos. There's some really good videos that she had originally when she first started. And then there's another guy named Aaron, and then there's one more guy, unfortunately I can't remember his name. And then of course the masters, Jesus and Buddha, and then I learned a few things from my brother as well, and then Dr. Joe Dispenza. So the gratitude prayers, this is something that I start every morning. If you're not If you're not into meditation or yoga and you think, oh my God, this is too much, just start with gratitude prayers in the morning. I start with, first thing in the morning before coffee, I start with forgiveness, love, and just removing negative thinking or judgment. That's like a beautiful way to start your day. And I had to learn that. I had to like get myself to get into it. Because initially when I did it, I almost felt like I was putting myself to extra work or putting my mind. And honestly, now it's becoming a life, like a habit. So it just becomes like a part of your life where you don't feel like it's work, you know, you actually enjoy it. So chapter 5, he's talking about survival versus creation mind. Living in a state of survival creates stress, disease, and it activates the fight or flight nervous system. To change is to be selfless, not selfish. Forget about the time, your body, your environment. Create the big 3. So, okay, so 1 is metacognition, which is become self-aware, and self-observer. So observe, like just constantly be aware of whatever you're doing. That's very, very important. Even if you get up in the morning and the way you make your coffee, the way you get out of the bed, the way you start your day, be very self-aware. And just kind of watch yourself, see how you do things, you know. And if you're in a bad mood, you can kind of go back, like what puts you in a bad mood, and just kind of analyze it that way. Number 2 is create a new mind to think about new ways of being. Asking questions. You can also ask, there's a lot of great examples in the book, but some of the questions would be, what would be like, you know, like, who am I? You know what I mean? What is it, a better way to be? What if I was this person living in this reality? Who do I admire in history? These are some of the questions. And then number 3 is make thought more real than anything else in creation. And then, let's see. Chapter 6, he's talking about the 3 brains. We go from thinking, doing to being. Emotions in the limbic or midbrain are the end products of experience. If you wake up from meditation differently before you sat down, you have changed. You feel different. However, you must think and feel in harmony. This is true. You cannot think one way and feel another way. So what he means by that is, most of you guys know this if you're meditating. If you're saying your gratitude prayers in the morning, however you want to say your prayers, it doesn't matter. Or if you want to sit in meditation, you can't be like having these negative thoughts or bad feelings about someone or not forgive people and yourself and then sit to meditate, because your heart and mind, they got to kind of like align, you know, your thoughts got to align with your heart. So that's why when I sit down, I also think about somebody who did me wrong in the old days where I was holding a grudge or resentment. I always say, I love you, man, or I love you, woman, I love you, girl, like, I forgive you, you know. It doesn't matter if you fired me or you did this, or it doesn't matter, you know what I mean? You have to let it go. Okay, so chapter 7, he's talking about the gap. All right, let's see. Okay, so when you think and feel different, and once you do something, taking action constantly, you will eventually be that new person. You will be in a new state of being, which is wisdom. A new state of being create a new personality. And then chapter 7, he's talking about the gap. We only get our identity from other things, people, and circumstances. Our cars, phones, jobs, etc., our title make us feel good. And this is all because we're attached to material possessions. Okay, when we die, none of this exists. So true. So where does true happiness come from? Happiness must come from within, not from the outside world. So true. And I'm not 100% there yet, by the way, but I've actually downsized quite a bit. I got rid of a lot of stuff. I gave it away. I donated it. It was like, it actually felt really good. We need to close the gap and start being happy inside. Meditation will help with this. So true. And then chapter 8, he's talking about meditation, demystifying the mystical and waves of your future. So remind yourself who you no longer want to be until this becomes so familiar that you now know your old self. So you know the difference. Like if you were, like for example, in my situation, I was always in the past. thinking of childhood or trauma or something that someone said, or fired me at my job or something like that. Like, I was constantly thinking about that. This is what I like about meditation and gratitude prayers, that it keeps you in the moment. And it's not easy at first. You have to kind of really get into it, and it takes a little bit of time. And then it becomes kind of like lifestyle. So remind yourself who you no longer want to be until this becomes so familiar that you know your old self. Thoughts, behaviors, and emotions connected to the old you that you want to change, to the extent that you unwire the old mind away and no longer signal the same genes in the same ways. And then like I said, chapter 8 and 9, and he goes into meditative process, introduction and preparation, which explains all the tools you need to prepare you for meditation. And then just overall, I mean, it's a little bit longer, but I'm not going to really get into it because I think the video has to be like within 15 minutes. So the other example that he had, which I thought was really, really cool, is the placebo effect. So we all know about sugar pills. A patient will take a sugar pill. There's no medicine in it, but they trust the doctor and they think there's medicine in the pill, and they really heal themselves. And then within a few weeks, the patient comes in and says, I don't have these symptoms anymore. And the doctor knows that they only gave the patient a sugar pill. There was nothing in it. But what happened? The mind of the patient healed the body. Which is pretty crazy. And again, he combines like the field of quantum physics, which I'm still learning because it's a little bit, it's not that easy, by the way. It's very complicated. Neuroscience, brain chemistry, biology, and genetics to show people what's truly possible. So not only will you be giving like the necessary knowledge to change any aspects of your life, but you will be like, given step by step on how to go about it. And that's kind of like my review, but I want to just mention, okay, so this is the book. And I'm not affiliated, by the way, with this book, so I'm not getting paid or anything like that. I bought it from Amazon. So basically, breaking the habit of being yourself, how to lose your mind and create a new one. And this one area of the book is, I thought, really interesting. I'm going to read it, and that's going to be pretty much the end of my review. But he's talking about the two state of mind, the survival and the creation. I'm getting all... Okay, so the survival mind this is me, by the way, and I was here a year ago, and I was here 2 years ago really, really bad. It's getting better. So the survival mind is very stressed. They're stressed for no reason sometimes. So they have disease, they have imbalance, breakdowns, degeneration. There's fear, there's anger, there's anxiety, there's sadness. And sometimes you don't even know why you're sad, for like no reason. And then state of emergency, like there's so much anxiety going on where you sabotage things and you create all these drama for no reason. I'm not talking about you, by the way. I'm referring to myself and some of the people that I've met around me. So basically, narrow focus. You only think about what's in front of you instead of thinking about friends and family and pets and environment and what's going on out there. And if you can help. Separation. Limited possibilities. And then the creation mind is they think about expansion, new ideas, okay, anabolism, health, they're in order, regeneration, they're in state of love, joy, they're in a state of trust. So this is why sometimes